As always, we will do setting proper motivation, then the preliminary, preliminary teaching and the prayers, and then we're going to recite some very important passages from the book, The Blaze of Non-Dual Bodhisattvas. From this, that compilation is there, and since that most of you are already from the earlier, somewhere from earlier teachings, so you know this book so well. And those of you who do not know this book, this is already sent to you through. You have the link. Some passages from the book, The Blaze of Non-Dual. So this is the compilation. The soft copy should be with you. And if you still don't know how to somewhere earlier teachings, let us know. So well, and Tibet House staff will help you. Not know this book. So, this is still not in the market. Still not in the market. You can download this for free, and this is a compilation of very important texts. And people who are aware or who are into Dharma for many years, they seeing this book, they feel this book is so well cherished by those people. They're craving. They crave to have this book. So they crave to have the subject matter of what is compiled in this book. So this would be a great help for particularly people who depend on English. So this would be extremely helpful. And of course, this book so far is not available in any other language. Some people, they offered to translate this into Spanish, but I'm not too sure how successful they are. So this book would be incredibly great asset for all of us. Okay, so we're going to read a part on the compilation. A part on compilation of important teachings, verses, and the prose from the teachings of Buddha and the other great masters on emptiness and dependent origination. Okay, so this is what we'll do, and then we'll see how much we can complete chapter 24, and then the chapter 24 we can easily finish today, and then 18 will begin today, and tomorrow we'll easily finish. And then, if possible, the way we said earlier, we're going to do a little bit of, say, the instruction, a quick instruction on how to meditate in emptiness. Okay, so with this in mind, setting proper motivation. See how much complete chapter 24, and then chapter 24 we can easily finish today, and then 18 will begin today, and tomorrow we'll.
I request everyone to kindly turn off their mic. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, setting a proper motivation, which consists of three parts. One, visualizing the refuge field, visualizing all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, particularly Buddha Shakyamuni, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and Arya Nagarjuna, then Arya Deva, Acharya Buddhapalita, Acharya Chandrakirti, Bodhisattva Shantideva, Bodhisattva Shantarakshita, Acharya Kamalashil, Lama Silingpa, Adishadipura Shrigyana, and all these greatly enlightened beings in front of us, so loving, caring, and embracing, and so concerned about you and all the beings. Let's visualize the Bodhicitta field. your true parents from the true sides, and all your dear mother sentient beings, including children, everyone living on the side. And yeah, you are the mother, and all others are like children. And imagine that they feel so desperate, and they are destitute, and you are there to give you full love, affection, attention, and so forth. And the purpose of this class is to remove the mental defilements so that the gold, the pure gold, the pure gold of the Buddha nature becomes manifest. To remove the mental defilements, we need to introduce counter force which is none other than the wisdom of emptiness. And this wisdom of emptiness must be the non-dual wisdom of emptiness, or the wisdom of emptiness to penetrate into the emptiness in a non-dualistic way. In other words, non-dualistic wisdom of emptiness. To get to this level of the experience, very advanced, sophisticated experience, we need to have the dualistic experience or the conceptual experience of emptiness, for which we need to have a very thorough reflection, for which we need to have enough materials to reflect on. For that matter, we get on the materials. We are studying these texts here. We are very fortunate. Each one of us, we are so fortunate, meritorious. And why not? We study them as soon as possible. We gather as rich materials on emptiness as possible, and reflect on emptiness and meditate on emptiness. So that whatever you get, why not we share this with all the different sentient beings? With this, as a motivation, and imagine that you are leading this, and all things are happily joining you in the journey of cleansing the mind of the mental defilements. So with this mind, let's recite the verses together. And teach by great compassion, you taught the immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Dharma, I pay homage. And teach by great compassion, you taught the immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Dharma, I pay homage. And teach by great compassion, you taught the immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Dharma, I pay homage. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, by my accumulations of the practice of giving and so forth. May I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, by my accumulations of the practice of giving and so forth. May I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, by my accumulations of the practice of giving and so forth. May I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. Okay, next we will recite the essence of dependent origination mantra. This should be the basis for us to reflect on the conventional reality of the two truths, conventional reality, how on the conventional level everything's operating, how our miseries they are given rise to by the afflictions, mental defilements, and how our happiness given rise to by the virtues, and how to get rid of this altogether by resolving the wisdom of emptiness. Driven by the force of Bodhicitta, unconditional love for Bodhicitta. Okay, with that in mind, let's recite this verse, this mantra together. Om ye dharma hetu prabhavam hetum tesham tathagato yavatat tesham chayo nirodha evam vati mahashramanaye swaha. Om ye dharma hetu prabhava hetum tesham tathagato yavatat tesham chayo nirodha evam vati mahashramanaye swaha. Om ye dharma hetu prabhava hetum tesham tathagato yavatat tesham chayo nirodha Evam vati mahashramana swaha. All phenomena arise from causes. The causes are taught by the Tathagata, the cessation of the causes as well as taught by the great seer. Okay, we will read the following the verses, the passages, and the so these are still not yet fully published. So we have some things there need to be added and so forth. Just keep that aside. I will just read this, and as we read this, for example, say I like to just give you the gist of this passage, and then the following passages, as we read, they should be self-explanatory. So this passage, the Buddha is comparing between two bodhisattvas. One bodhisattva who already generated bodhicitta and who have been bodhisattva for many, many thousands of lifetimes. And on the other hand, there is a bodhisattva, the one who became a bodhisattva just very recently. So the Buddha is comparing, but the first one, who has been bodhisattva for all these many, many thousands of eons or thousands of lifetimes, this bodhisattva, unfortunately, this is just a scenario created. Unfortunately, did not have the wisdom of emptiness. Whereas the one who newly became a bodhisattva today, let's say, has the wisdom of emptiness. So now, comparing the two, the Buddha said that the virtues, the merits accumulated by the bodhisattva newly generated or newly become a bodhisattva, but with the wisdom of emptiness, the merit that this bodhisattva accumulates is far, far, far greater, far excels to that of the merit accumulated by the bodhisattva who have been doing this virtue for the last many eons, many lifetimes. So, what makes the difference is all because that a bodhisattva who, although become a bodhisattva just today, given that the virtues that this bodhisattva engages in is complemented, is imbued with the wisdom of emptiness. So that makes a difference. So this is, from this, the lesson that we take from this is that all our virtues would be, say, to what extent these virtues will become powerful is determined by the accompanying wisdom, whether or not that is accompanied by the wisdom of emptiness. Okay, so we don't have the wisdom of emptiness, but to create this wisdom of emptiness as soon as possible. Okay, let's read this together. Gift of Youth, Ratna Sutra, excerpt. Manjushri, whoever listens, even without to this teaching on the emptiness, generates much greater merit than a bodhisattva who, lacking skill in means, practices the sixth perfection for 100,000 eons. This being so, what need is there to say anything about a person who listens to this teaching without doubt? What need is there to say anything about a person who imparts the scripture in writing, memorizes it, and also teaches it thoroughly and extensively to others? The treasure of the One Thus Gone Sutra. Any person who possesses all these 10 great known virtues enters into the teaching of selflessness and has faith and conviction that all phenomena are from the beginning pure of true existence, does not go to a bad rebirth. Chapter on Subduing Devil Sutra. If any bhikshu realizes that all phenomena are absolutely pacified of inherent existence, and the beginning of defilements is devoid of subnature, will remove the guilt of having defilements and make unstable the defilements, thus deeming even the immeasurable negativities dysfunctional, let alone the secondary wrongs done associated with ethics and rituals. Arideva responded verses on a middle way. Those with less merit will not even have a doubt in this dharma of ultimate reality. Should any inquiry ever arise in someone, will shatter samsara into pieces. Acharya Dharmakirti's commentary and radical vision. One is liberated through the view of emptiness. The rest of the meditations are for the sake of that. Bodhisattva Shantideva is guided to the Bodhisattva's way of life. All of these branches of practices were taught by the Buddhas for the sake of wisdom, Therefore, those who wish to pacify suffering will generate this wisdom. Acharya Chandragiri's entry in the middle way. Even as an ordinary being, when hearing about emptiness, if one experiences with an utter joy again and again, tears flowing from such pure joy, motion in one's eyes and one's hair and stands on end, one has the seed of the wisdom of full awakening. The various Upanishad Sutra, the various delightful flowers blossom, and the sparkling supreme golden apple stands so alluring. For none of these is their creator. They are posited by the power of thought. It is through the conceptualization that the world is imputed. Bhikkhuni Vajira's utterance in a fundamental wisdom sutra. The mind is demonic, which views the true self. You have a wrong view. These composition aggregates are empty. There is no being in them. Just as one destiny is a card and depends upon a collection of parts, so as the conventional sentient beings and depends upon the aggregates. Venerable Shavara's writings. Searching for reality throughout space, one finds not the periphery nor the center. All perception cease completely. Likewise, to a thorough search of mind and phenomena, one finds not even an atom of essence. Since the searching mind is not found, not seeing anything is seeing reality. Since Sara's writing. By entering into emptiness, but devoid of compassion, one will not find the supreme part. By meditating upon compassion alone, one will not attain liberation, but will remain in samsara. But one capable of grasping the unity of the two will not remain in samsara, nor abide in personal nirvana. King of Concentration Sutra. Just as in the dream of a young girl, she met with a boy and saw his death. Joyous was she at the meeting, and in anguish at his death. We all phenomena is thus. Arya Nagarjuna's fundamentalism the middle way. Ceasing of karmas and afflictions leads to nirvana. Karmas and afflictions arise from conceptual thought. These arise from mental elaborations grasping true existence. Elaboration ceases by way into emptiness. Neither the aggregates no different from the aggregates. Aggregates don't depend on him, nor is he dependent on them. The Tathagata does not possess the aggregates. What is the Tathagata? Got it. That which dependently originates is posited to be empty of independent existence. That being dependently designated, this is in the way. Since there is no phenomenon that is not dependently originated, therefore there is no phenomenon that is not empty. Are in Nagarjuna's precious garland. If the person is not earth, not water, not fire, not air, not space, but also consciousness, not all of them, where is the person out of those? Just as the person is not truly existent, because of being an aggregation of the six elements, each element also is not truly existent as the aggregations of their own constituents. Dharma Samgiti Sutra. Forms appear as a mass of form. Feelings resemble bubbles in water, and discrimination is like a mirage. Mental formations are like pendant trees. Consciousness is like a magical illusion. So taught Surya Mitra. Arya Nagarjuna's commentary on awakening mind. Those who understand this emptiness of phenomena, they are also conformed to the law of karma and its results. That is more amazing than amazing. It is more wondrous than wondrous. Aryadeva has pointed verses in the middle way. When dependent arising is seen, ignorance does not occur. Thus, through all efforts, strive to find the subject. His Holiness the seventh Dalai Lama's rain shower feet, a song of the four mindfulnesses, as a guide to the view of the middle way. At the crossroads of six collections of consciousness, that of diverse perceptions, are seen the hazy dualistic phenomena which are baseless. There's a magical show that is by nature deceptive. Don't believe them to be true, but view them as having the nature of emptiness. Don't let your mind go astray, but place it within the nature of appearance and emptiness. Do not lose your mindfulness, hold it within the nature of appearance and emptiness. The sphere of appearing and existing phenomena is pervaded by the space of the ultimate clear light of suchness. There is an ineffable ultimate reality. View this nature of emptiness to abandon the mental contrivances. Don't let your mind go astray, but place it within the ambience of reality. Do not lose your mindfulness, hold it within the ambience of reality. His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lamas pray for proliferating the Dharma of 11 snows. Venerable Marpadal Zawa, Shebe, Dorji, and so on, the host of the precious Kagi, the sources of blessings, a chain of unexcelled masters of the outstanding tradition, To you all I pray, may the Buddha Dharma of the land of snows blaze forevermore. All phenomena encompassing samsara and nirvana are but the radiance of spontaneous awareness. Awareness itself, devoid of elaborations, is realized in the nature of Dharmakaya, pervading all existences and appearances of samsara and nirvana, is the great Mahamudra. May the Buddha Dharma of the land of snows blaze forevermore. Are Nagarjunas in praise of Dharmadhatu. Impermanent, suffering, and empty. These three, they purify the mind. The Dharma that is unsurpassed in purifying the mind is that of intrinsic nature. A concluding prayer from Lama Tsongkhapa's Ocean of Reasoning, a commentary on Arya Nagarjuna's fundamental wisdom of the middle way. Throughout my future lifetimes, may I always be guided by the Manjushri and be able to uphold the Dharma in general and the teachings of dependent origination in particular, even in the cosmic life. Okay, this is a very important the extract. Let us all fold our hands together in reverence to the Buddha Shri Hiruka. This is the name, the sacred name of Buddha when the Buddha Shakyamuni manifested himself in the form of Buddha Shri Hiruka. Okay. Shri Hiruka, Shri Hiruka, Shri Hiruka. He is the selflessness of phenomena, the emptiness of the mind, which is the source of everything, as it is imputed to be of causal nature. Ru is the selflessness of the person, the emptiness of the self, that is fabricated by the web of conceptual thought that grounds the self of person. Ka is the ultimate reality, the absence of the distant duality of subject-object. Shri is the non-dual exalted wisdom that abides in congruence with the emptiness of the object. This is the meaning of Evam. Okay. And next Heart Sutra mantra. Let's say this 3 times. As we recite this, given that what we are doing here, chapter 24 and chapter 18, the two very important chapters, of course, His Holiness the Dalai gives teachings on the fundamental wisdom of the middle way, Mulamadhyamakakarika, quite often. And oftentimes, His Holiness picks up 4 chapters, and of the 4 chapters, we see that chapter 18 and then chapter 24, these two are of particularly of great relevance and extremely beneficial for us. Added to these 2 chapters, chapter 22 and chapter 26, the total, these are 4 chapters which His Holiness usually teaches. And then alongside, now here in this book, we also added chapter 25, which again is very important. And then we also added chapter 1, which is like the opening passage of this great text. So with this mind, the whole purpose of this is to finally to really trigger this wisdom, the wisdom of emptiness, as the final remedy or the antidote to eradicate, to cleanse the mind of the mental defilements. Otherwise, no matter what practice that we engage in, without wisdom of emptiness, it is like, yes, they do help us not to remove the mental defilements, but to suppress the mental defilements, to deactivate the mental defilements, but they are not eradicated from the root. So we should be feeling so fortunate that, in fact, the dear parents shared. I'm extremely grateful to them, and that that we all get this opportunity to study this text. But the Arya Nagarjuna's the greatest legacy of his on this earth, which is the fundamental wisdom of the middle way. So with this in mind, then you feeling yourself is so meritorious, why not we share this? We share this with all the dear sentient beings, including your parents, your children, your family members, and everyone. So as we recite this Heart Sutra mantra, visualize the Buddha Shakyamuni. Let us all imagine that we are all there in Rajgir. I'm sure many of you have been there in Rajgir, and when we do the Dorji retreats, a study and meditation retreat in the Root Institute in Bodh Gaya, we make it a point that all the participants we go to watch us speak. where the Buddha Shakyamuni taught Heart Sutra. And then we also go to Nalanda, where the great Arya Nagarjuna taught this text. So just imagine that we're all there in Rajgir, where this Heart Sutra was taught. And just imagine that the Buddha Shakyamuni was presiding over the congregation, and then he was blessing you and also your beings. And imagine that Buddha Shakyamuni is telling us that don't remain in the fears of samsara. Come towards the ultimate happiness. Awaken the seed of perfection within yourself. And you hearing this melodious voice of Buddha Shakyamuni, you then proclaim this to all the Buddha, all the dear sentient beings, reassuring them, come, listen to what the Buddha Shakyamuni, our great teacher, Buddha Shakyamuni, is exhorting us. Let us not remain in fear of samsara anymore. Let us all go towards together. Let us all go towards the ultimate awakening. So with this in mind, and they imagine that everybody is so happy they join you in the journey of cleansing the mind. So this journey depicted by this mantra, Gade Gade Para Gade Para Samade Bodhi Soha. Okay, we'll say this 3 times. Eato Gade Gade Para Gade Parasamgati Bodhi Swatyata Om Gati Gati Paramati Parasamgati Bodhi Swatyata Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasamgati Bodhi Swaha. Take the aspiration Bodhisattva vow. All of us will take this aspiration Bodhisattva vow, and taking this aspiration Bodhisattva vow, there is no commitment. Don't worry, there's no commitment at all. This is the only thing which you take. This is the only vow which you take, and without any responsibility, and you have so much benefit. Right? This is like the business where you don't have to spend anything, and you get all the benefits. This is an incredibly great opportunity. But whereas for the actual Bodhisattva vow, what we're doing is the aspirational Bodhisattva vow. This is not the actual Bodhisattva vow. For the actual Bodhisattva vow, then there are many commitments. And in fact, in the first place, you should be prepared. Prepared. The mindset should have been developed to some extent of maturation in terms of your compassion. Not just compassion, and the bodhicitta, the compassion bodhicitta. One, and then not only that you should be prepared, then there are commitments also associated with this, the vow. Whereas for what we're doing now, it does not have any commitment. If you really want to look for some commitment, at the most, the commitment that you have is that henceforth, I'll try my best. I'll try my best to be as kind, as helpful to others. And if not, at least I will not harm others. This much, if you can commit, when you are eligible to take the aspirational commitment. So besides this, we don't have any other commitments, don't worry. And there's so much of benefit, and we never know. When you practice bodhicitta by the 2 very sophisticated methods, the sevenfold method to generate bodhicitta, and the other one taking the equalizing exchange method to generate bodhicitta, the 2 methods. The first one has 7 steps, and the second one has 9 steps. So we have to learn these steps and then practice them. But when you practice, because of taking these aspiration bodhisattva vows so often, the benefit is that when you actually practice bodhicitta, you will see that the germination, the activation of the spirit of bodhicitta becomes very swift. Otherwise, the bodhicitta, this is such a noble task that it really takes long for us to really experience it. And at times, some people, they may feel so demoralized that no experience is coming. It's not easy. It's not like, unlike the physics, we study quantum mechanics, we study relativity theory, we study, and then in neuroscience, we study about the neurons, the synaptic connections and so forth. And the Western philosophy, we study something, and the whole purpose is that once you understand the concept, finish, that is the job. Whereas here, for the bodhicitta, wisdom emptiness, just to understand the concept does not suffice. That's not, that is not the end of the road. So there, the knowledge is one, and then after this is the conviction, number two. After the conviction is the experience, to translate that into experience. So for that matter, and then when the experience comes, then you will feel that, wow, this is the purpose of my life. You will feel it. Whereas, for example, I learned quantum mechanics. Now, I learned quantum mechanics, then I know some concepts. I'm so impressed, wow, nothing really exists independent of the observer, and the observed exists, but depends on the observer. Nothing exists there, uncertain principle and so forth. But just to have the knowledge, finish. And then the sense of joy does not really exude within yourself the way it gives you that sense of joy when you feel this, the wisdom of emptiness being translated into your experience. So this is so precious. At the same time, to translate, to get the knowledge is not that difficult. Translating the knowledge into experience, that will take time. Knowledge to conviction to the experience, that will take time. So we should employ many ways by which to make sure that our efforts in the meditation of the sevenfold concept method and the method of utilizing exchange itself, these two methods, when if you engage in this, then experiences come to you. For that matter, the factors like taking the aspiration, bodhisattva, and so forth, these are crucially important, so beneficial. These are very skillful ways by which, with the least of effort, you can have experiences. Okay. We'll say this, these three verses together. Okay. Together. And imagine that you are leading this, and all sentient beings are joining you, your parents, your children, your family members, and all sentient beings who passed, who died to this COVID-19, and who are in the hospitals, in the ICUs, whose lives are so badly affected. Just visualize all of them joining in this journey. I go for refuge to the triple gem. I confess the negativities individually. I rejoice in the virtues of all the beings. I hold the precious Buddhahood in my heart. I go for refuge in the triple gem. I confess the negativities individually. I rejoice in the virtues of all the beings. I hold the precious Buddhahood in my heart. I go for refuge in the triple gem. I confess the negativities individually. I rejoice in the virtues of all the beings. I hold the precious Buddhahood in my heart. Gurus, Buddhas, and Bodhisattvas, please pay heed to me. Just as the previous Buddhas have generated the mind of bodhicitta, and just as they successfully dwelt in the bodhisattva practices, likewise for the benefit of all sentient beings, I will generate the mind of bodhicitta, and likewise shall I too successfully follow the bodhisattva practices. Okay, here bodhicitta means the bodhi is the full awakening, Buddhahood. Chitta the chit is the mind. The mind courageous enough to aspire to become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. So, and with this mind, I will generate bodhicitta. I will become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. Just try to generate this mind. And as you generate this mind, we may feel that this is very superficial and it is not a natural thinking. Don't worry. Everything we have to start from superficiality. Anything new that you're learning, you have to start from superficiality. Like I say, the practicing music, we have to start from the superficiality. Nobody, even what is his name, Mozart, even the Mozart, the child prodigy of the music, even he, the first time he put his fingers on the musical instrument, no music came out. It's just very superficial. Then he very quickly he picked up the because of being a child prodigy in music. So this is how we have to practice. Okay, let's do 2 times more. with the stanza number 2 and 3. Gurus, Buddhas, and Bodhisattvas, please pay heed to me. And just as the previous Buddhas have generated the mind of bodhicitta, and just as they successfully dwell in the Bodhisattva practices, likewise for the benefit of all sentient beings, I will generate the mind of bodhicitta, and likewise shall I too successfully follow the Bodhisattva practices. Gurus, Buddhas, and Bodhisattvas, please pay heed to me. Just as the previous Buddhas have generated the mind of bodhicitta, and just as they successfully dwell in the Bodhisattva practices, likewise for the benefit of all sentient beings, I will generate the mind of bodhicitta, and likewise shall I too successfully train in the Bodhisattva practices. Okay. Now we are on chapter 24, stanza 33. Okay. Chapter 24, stanza 33. Moreover, one could never perform dharma and non-dharma actions if this were all non-empty. So, saying that emptiness understood in the context of dependent origination. Where emptiness is feasible, dependent origination is feasible. Where dependent origination is feasible, cause and effect is feasible. Where emptiness is not feasible, dependent origination is not feasible. Where dependent origination is not feasible, cause and effect is not feasible. Okay, so it says, moreover, one could never perform dharma and non-dharma actions if this were all non-empty. Non-empty meaning if this were all non-empty of independent existence. If they were all independently existent, then cause and effect is not possible. So therefore, dharma, cause and effect in the cost of dharma, cause and effect in the cost of non-dharma. Dharma meaning do good things, do virtues, happiness will follow. Do bad things, miseries will follow. So these should not be happening if things were to be static as independently real. That with such nature, action does not exist. That anything which has self-nature, which exists intrinsically, which exists independently, action cannot be accounted for. Action of arising and ceasing cannot be feasible. 34. For you the fruit arises. For you the fruit arises, even in absence of dharma and non-dharma actions. So now, say the same reasoning. And this is where last time I was talking about, about sharpening our intelligence. While we are studying this, not only are we learning new information, we are also sharpening our intelligence to get to penetrate into the deeper reality. What we are seeing is not reality. What we are seeing, this is very deceptive, the way explained by the quantum physicists. Quantum physicists, but they say that what we are seeing is not reality. And interestingly, last year, the beginning of last year, 2019, when I was in Israel for a conference on consciousness, and there was a very senior neuroscientist. And then we, of course, we were from the hotel being taken into the minibus to the conference site. We were all together on the height of minibus for all the participants. And we were there, and two of us were close by. One very senior neuroscientist, of course, very good. And then we became friends. And he said that, okay, tell me how to manage our emotions. This is what he told me. And then I told him that, yeah, finally, they say we can manage emotions by first of all knowing how the emotions arise. Emotions arise on a basis of the information that our mind processes, and the mind processing information, they come into being by depends on information that we get. The information are provided to us by our sense consciousnesses. So the sense consciousness, when they give us the wrong information, then what you are processing, that is not really wholesome. And then outcome is the tension, anxiety, stress, and so forth. So finally, for the wise people, for the less intelligent people who are not really interested to study these texts, for them it's fine. You can say that, okay, be calm, be gentle, have no tension. They'll not ask you how not to have tension. But somebody who's wise, they will ask these questions. How to distress yourself? So for the wise people, then this process, this mechanism, we should know the mechanism. From this mechanism, then we come to realize that our perceptions play a very important role. Our perceptions, if you trust perceptions, which is deceptive, then we will have the consequence. Whereas if you don't trust the perception, if you know the reality, that what we are seeing is not the reality, we should not really worry too much about what we are seeing, because what we are seeing is not the reality. Then he said that I know. He said, neuroscientist, he said, what I'm seeing is not the reality 100%. This is according to neuroscience. Not only from the philosophy point of view. This is interesting. What we are seeing is not reality. Quantum physics is saying this. And the philosophers also say this. And the neuroscience, somebody who really gets, say a neuroscientist, a smart neuroscientist. Sometimes the neuroscientists may not be too smart. I've met very senior neuroscientists, some of them, they are not really smart, you know. So on one hand, they talk neuroscience. Behind, they believe they have some blind faith in some concepts. Okay, I don't want to elaborate too much on this. I met some neuroscientists, then I lost trust. Neuroscientists doesn't mean that person is very smart. Even the physicists may not be too smart. Some of the physicists I met again, they talk physics, but deep inside, they don't believe in this physics. You don't have to believe. You don't have to believe. But at least, if you don't believe, be very honest. Then don't talk about it. They talk about physics, and then because physics is very popular, and then behind they have some blind faith. Very contradictory with the physics. So this is something which I've seen. So therefore, even if somebody says that I'm a doctorate in physics, earlier I have a tremendous respect because my love for physics is so great. When I was in school, I was really, really crazy after physics. In fact, if not that I'm a Buddhist monk today, I'm a physicist, maybe a small physicist. Yeah, it was my passion to be a physicist. When I was in school, I was thinking to become a physicist. Okay, so with this, what I'm saying is that so this is what he said, the neuroscientist said that what I'm seeing is not the reality, 100%. This is from the point of view of neuroscience, from how the workings of neurons. From there, I can say what I'm seeing is just a play of the neurons. They don't really exist the way they really they appear to us. This is amazing. This is what I'm saying. So the point is that if this were all non-empty, what could one do? That with self-nature, action doesn't exist. If things are static, if things are independent, self-nature meaning independent existence with a self-nature, then it should not be dependent on origination. If it is not dependent on dependent on reason, then it should not depend on anything else, or nothing should depend on that, which means nothing can affect it. So it should remain a static state. If it's static, then action is not possible. Action means something which is from non-movement to a movement state. That is action. For example, let's say that, okay, I'm moving my hands. Move my hands means, say that my hand is here first. From this, I move my hand. Initially, the hand is not to the extreme right. It was on the left side. So from the left, it moves to the right. So which means that this hand was this hand is now reached to a place which was earlier non-existent. So from non-existent, then something should come into existence. This is the action. So whereas if things are independent, things are not empty of independent existence, then these actions will not be possible. 34. For you, the fruit arises even in the absence of dharma and non-dharma actions. So even in the absence of the different angles, say the same reasoning, same position, you can look at from different angles. So one way is saying that for you the fruits, say first it says that with this the fruits cannot arise. Now the other reasoning is that you have to post the fruits arising by without dependence on the causes and conditions, which means should be arbitrary arising, should be random arising, without, let's say, for example, say that we can't really imagine suddenly apple fruit hanging in the air like this. It's not possible. Apple fruits, mangoes suddenly hanging. I like mangoes. Mangoes start hanging in the air. It's totally impossible. Because the mangoes should necessarily come into being, but depends on the early causes. In the absence of the causes, the results should not be happening. So, whereas if you believe in independent existence, given that we do see the apples and mangoes, they should be existing independently, independent of the early causes and conditions. If in the absence of early causes and conditions, the mangoes and apples can come to being, then even in front of us, apples should come randomly, because they should not depend on causes and conditions. 34. For you, the fruit arises even in the absence of dharma and non-dharma actions, meaning that the fruits of happiness should come without engaging in dharma. Fruits of non-happiness should come without engaging in non-dharma. So for some people, there are some people who are believer of God, who are believer of Buddha, whatever, who are believer of Ishvara, whatever, some people, they are a little naughty. That say they confront with so much of difficulties, challenges in their life, sickness. Then they say like, say okay, like COVID and so forth, because I did not do anything bad, and then all bad things happen to me, right? And then that person is always engaged, always very selfish and so unkind, corrupted, and everything good happens to them, right? The God is very biased. Buddha is very biased. Law of karma is biased. Ishvara is biased, right? Where is dharma? Dharma is just fallacy. It's not true. It's just deceptive. This is how people think. So whereas this is a clear indication that for them, law of karma means action and effect, means it's something just within this life. No, it's not like this. Say, for example, the small children, young ones, they will not understand it. The elders, like age 60, 70, some of them, if they have some knee pains, or they have some, let's say, backache problems, or they have some joint pains and so forth. The effect is what they are, this is effect that they're experiencing now, which is effect of getting injured, the bone injury 30 years ago, 40 years ago. Elders have this experience now. So cause and effect is not always very short term. It can be like, separated by distance, separated by time, separated by like 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 10 lifetimes, 100 lifetimes, and so forth. So what we're experiencing may not necessarily be the cause that you did only in this life, not necessary. So therefore, the point is that whereas if this is what we need to keep in mind, that when we go through difficulties, just have conviction in the law of dependent origination. It is by dependence on the early causes which I was engaged in, whether in this life or in the former lives, that now I'm reaping the bad effect. And even the good things, because the virtues that I did in the past life, in this life, the early part of this life, or in the former lives, that I'm experiencing this happiness now, benefits now. So I have to engage more virtues now. I have to stop the negativities now. Okay. 34. For you, the fruit arises even in the absence of dharma and non-dharma actions. You will be deprived of the fruits which arose from dharma and non-dharma actions. Okay. One reason is that you can have fruits without having to engage in the virtues or non-virtues if things exist independently. Or you say You engage in virtues, you engage in so much of the hard works in virtues, and you will never get the result if things exist independently. Because the result is independent of what you're doing. No matter what you do, you will not get the results because these two have nothing, no correlation. For example, let's say that is there anybody who, Dr. Fritz, right? So let's say that Dr. Fritz put effort to become doctorate, right? He put effort, but I did not become a doctorate. You're getting it? I didn't become a doctorate. You're getting it? He put effort, but I didn't become it. So I'm expecting, because so much effort put. Did you put effort in becoming a doctorate? Oh, but Fritz put it. Fritz put the effort. So these are two different disconnected people, right? The one who put effort to become a doctorate is Frislam, and one who expecting to become a doctorate is Dorji, who's another person. These two are very disconnected. These two are more independent people. So therefore, cause and effect, if these two are independent, then they used to have no correlation. So you put so much effort, but the result is going to be not there because these two are two disconnected things. If these two are independently existent. Okay. You'll be deprived of the fruits which arose from Dharma and non-Dharma actions. You engage in Dharma and non-Dharma actions, and you'll be free. You will be deprived of the fruits because the experience of the fruits and the one who engaged in the cause of the fruits, these two should be two independent entities if things do exist independently. 35. If for you a fruit arose from Dharma and non-Dharmas, then how could that fruit of Dharma and non-Dharma be non-empty? Be non-empty means be independent. Non-empty of independent existence. Non-empty. Non is negative, empty is negative, double negation is positive. Non-empty of independent existence, which means then how could that fruit of Dharma and non-Dharma be independently existent? So if you still say that, yes, I did the actions of Dharma and non-Dharma, and I will have the results. So therefore, there's no contradiction. If you say this, if you insist this, then you should accept the dependency. If you accept the dependency, how can you accept independence? Then how could the fruit of non-Dharma and Dharma be non-empty? 36. If emptiness by virtue of dependent arising were denigrated, this would contradict all worldly conventions. If you denigrate meaning if you discount, or if you don't, if you don't see the efficacy of the cause and effect, if you don't see the efficacy of the dependent origination, if emptiness by virtue of dependent arising were denigrated, this would contradict all worldly conventions. We see that all worldly conventions, they are all operating in the mechanism of dependent origination. So the house, so look at all the things. Okay, I'm just wondering, I want some of you to give me some examples of in this world. Don't bring any philosophy. Don't bring philosophy. Bring something which you and all others, anybody in the street can understand. Anybody in the street who's sensible person can understand. Give me some examples in this worldly convention, in this world, day-to-day life, where we see things, where we see things coming to being by dependence on something else. In other words, dependent origination operating in your day-to-day life. I want some of you to give me some examples. Anybody? Raise hands. Okay, the Elaine.
Geshe, my lunch.
Okay, how is your lunch dependent?
It was dependent first on the farmer who grew the food, then the shopkeeper who sold it, then the person who bought it, brought it home, then I cooked it and put it. So it was dependent on a lot of factors. And
Wonderful. Thank you. The one plate of food that we eat comes into being, but depends on all these factors. innumerable factors. If you really think seriously about it, and then if you think the day one of the lockdown, right? Day one of the lockdown in your own country, day one of the lockdown, this is an amazing example. Lockdown, we should be feeling so grateful. Otherwise, dependent origination will not really, sense the value of this. So what Elaine is saying is so relevant with the lockdown. Lockdown day one, I'm sure many people, they have been, what is that? The hoarding all the foods from the shops, right? You buy all the things like the tissue rolls, like for 1 month, then the rice like 10 kg, 20 kgs, right? Usually you say that I have no space, right? Usually you say that I have no space. Okay, 10 kg, or it'll get spoiled, right? This number of the 1 month, 2 months, 10 months, the tissue rolls, they will have no space. On vegetables, tomatoes, or the onions, they're like 5 kgs. Are you crazy, right? But we're doing it. Day one, the first week, right? We were doing that. Just think of that. And then the second thought will be that after hoarding all these things, in stacking up all these things there, even the soaps, you buy so many of them, right? And the dishwashers, one after the other. Okay. Then the next thought, okay, now am I safe? Right? Lockdown, if it goes for the next 1 month, okay, I'm pretty safe. I'll miss the ice cream. Ice cream you cannot. Okay. Then what about 1 month? What about 2 months? Then the question, okay, then I need to have the vegetables. Vegetables I cannot, stock like this. I need fresh vegetables. What should I do? Can I go out? No. What should I do? Then the online. But somebody has to come online. Somebody has to come, right? Then we see, and then even your helpers, many of the people you also have the helpers. Even the helpers, they cannot come now. Now you have to do it on your own. Then you see the dependency. How much we're dependent on so many people. And then when if the person who bringing the online the food items online, if that person is not there, you have a problem, right? You cannot go there yourself. And if the person comes, there's a problem. You may fear that he might be bringing the COVID with you, COVID for you, right? If the person comes, there's a problem. If the person doesn't come, there's more problem. Then I'm going to remain. I'm going to they suffer hunger. I'll die of hunger. Look, this is a dependency. One plate now, when you are what we call in a normal state, we should be mindful that one plate of food it comes on my table, not because of my money, $10, $5, not just because of that, because of multiple hands, innumerable hands involved, dependence of many people. This is so important. If you can think of these on a daily basis, they can make your life so beautiful. Because every time you see a juice, you see so many hands involved, without which this juice, I cannot enjoy this juice. Delhi becomes cold. Now in most of the places, except for Australia and New Zealand, I'm not too sure. Otherwise, in most places it's become cold. Cold, you have a heating system. See the heating system, so many hands were involved there. Dependent on so many hands. Then you feel so grateful to them. When you have a sense of gratefulness, gratitude, what is the accompanying feeling? Accompanying feeling is so beautiful. You're getting it? When you have the feeling of gratitude inside, accompanying so beautiful, accompanying feeling so beautiful that you feel at ease. Tension is resolved. You're getting it? Okay. So this is one example. Thank you, Elaine. Extremely beautiful example. Anybody else? we can give an example of say how something is dependent on many other factors in our day-to-day life. Okay, Gorilla.
Geshe, I'm able to attend these teachings with you. I have the great good fortune because I have a human birth. I have intelligence to comprehend. I am healthy. I am depending on my sense organs. I have the leisure this afternoon, or I could create the leisure. I have a computer. There are so many factors, apart from some merit, but I mean, so many factors through which I could actually understand and comprehend your teachings. Whereas I even think of animals, or I think of so many beings who may not be able to access them. So
True.
it's dependence on many factors.
Multiple factors, many factors. That's true. And one very important factor from the Goriji is her two parents being so open-minded, right? Having brought up this girl in a very open-minded spirit, so that she can just get what she sees as good, not that what my mother wants, what my father wants. No, that what I see as meaningful. So this is again the parents' contribution multiple factors. That's very true, extremely true. Thank you, Gorilla. Anybody else? Anyone who likes to share? Okay, Lianchu.
I live in a comfortable home, totally dependent in Singapore.
Yes.
Totally dependent on all the reliable builders who put it together, who don't do anything funny,
Yes.
conform to all rules and regulations. It's totally dependent on all the helpers and cleaners who keep the compound clean, the security of the compound, so many people in the security agencies that keep Singapore very safe. We don't have to worry about being robbed. We don't have to worry about anything. And I can attend the class without any problems with the technology that is provided. So all these things have very little to do with me. It's very much
Wonderful, amazing.
all the factors.
And then the fact that Lianchu is sitting very comfortably, free of COVID-19, is because of the effectiveness of Singaporean government. And how the Singaporean government becomes so effective was dependent on, again, the earlier generations and the people. So if Lianchu is to create this environment where the COVID-19 free Singapore, if she's to create that herself, she has to pay billions and billions of dollars. Take out all the people in Singapore out, then she'll feel that, okay, now I'm COVID-19 free. But then who bring the food? Again, the problem, right?
Also,
so this is the network. Yes.
The cooperation of so many people.
Exactly. Cooperation, so many people. So we see the network of interdependency. You're dependent on one factor, and that factor is dependent again another millions of factors. Each of these millions of factors, they are dependent on further millions. It's just a network of dependent origin. It's amazing. Thank you, Lianchu. Anybody else?
I'd like to share. Geshe-la.
Yes, Subhashini ji.
Particularly during the lockdown, I find I'm very dependent on people because I cannot order things online. I don't know how to do it. So I have neighbors helping me out and people being very caring. And I find that's another very good example of dependent origination.
Exactly.
Otherwise, I could not have survived,
Exactly, yes. So this is particularly related to your emotional state, to your well-being. This is then the dependent origination. You will see the power of the dependent origination, the efficacy of the dependent origination, and then we start to feel gratitude towards others, all other beings. It's so precious. Okay, anybody else? Okay, the Pallavi.
Yes, Geshela. Geshela, the fact that I'm in Deer Park right now, and I happen to know about Deer Park because I visited Deer Park 2 years back. So going one step further is the fact that I'm in Deer Park, because I know, of course, because of Deer Park, I visited Beer 2 years back. That was possible because I left my job. I had taken a break, and I came to explore Beer, and then I kind of stumped upon Deer Park, and then I've been coming here. And right now, it's made possible because my parents were open enough to allow me to go during COVID and travel to Beer right now in Deer Park. And I've been able to financially or time-wise or because of, I mean, I'd like to give credit also to COVID at some point that I have been able to have that liberty and leisure of time to come here. Otherwise, I would be engaged with so many other activities in person. So
Exactly.
so, yeah. So the
Wow.
space and wanting all that, yeah.
This is amazing. This is, if you really think about the dependent origination, we can see that how weak we are, how so fragile we are. We are dependent on so many factors. And then the moment these factors shut down, we shut down. So we're so dependent on them. And then the more we feel weak and dependent on others, then we start to feel the benefit of others. Benefit of others. As you start to feel the benefit that you get from others as source of benefit, then you start to, so where the benefit comes from, your mind flows towards that. For example, small children, each one of you must have done that. When you were age 5, 6, 7, somebody has a bunch of, say, the chocolates, your mind is attracted towards the chocolate, right? Say, your uncle or your aunt or somebody comes, visits your house, and then brings some chocolates, and chocolates on the table. And then you don't see what your aunt is talking, what your uncle is talking. You only see the chocolate, right? You come closer to the chocolate. You must have done that. Kim Lee, you did you do that when you were young?
When we were young,
Yes.
my parents were very strict. I don't get to eat chocolate until I think I left home.
No, what I'm saying is you don't get the chocolate, but when you see the chocolate, your mind is pulled by the chocolate, right?
Yes, but
Yes. Your mind is pulled, but the chocolate doesn't come to your mouth. Your mind is pulled by the chocolate. So because you like it, you see this as a benefit, I like it, and then your mind is pulled by it. You're getting this meaning of the mind becoming close to the object. So when you see others as source of benefit, your mind flows towards the benefit, the other beings. So that's the meaning of your mind feeling close to the other beings. Your mind feeling close to other beings is known as love. I love you. My mind, I feel close to you. I feel close to you means I love you. You're getting it? This is how we love other beings. So of the two methods of generating bodhicitta, say the sevenfold causative method to generate bodhicitta is also on that principle. To see all other beings as a source of your love in the spirit of your mothers, in the spirit of your father, in the spirit of your teacher, in the spirit of your very loving brother, sister, husband, wife, children, and so forth. And the second method equalizing exchange of others, this is again designed on the basic principle of how you should feel, how we feel close towards all others, for somebody being so loving to you, for somebody being neutral to you. Because other people is neutral, you get so much benefit. And some categories, others are being enemy, so therefore you get many benefits which your parents cannot give. Right? For example, to give an example of this, let's say that okay, how many of you know Muhammad Ali? Raise your hands. Okay, how many don't know Muhammad Ali? Okay, so we are there. Oh, Bella, yes, you are young. Pallavi, you don't know. Pallavi, you don't know.
I can't recall clearly. I must have heard sometime, but it rings a bell very faintly. I don't know. But I would like to say no.
Okay, so the point is that you are somebody who's young, right? Okay, somebody young. This is best. And Sirin Kumpela, you have no idea. Okay. Okay. Let me ask. Okay, who knows Albert Einstein? Not Albert Einstein. Muhammad Ali, raise hand. Okay, Carolyn Ming, tell me, who is Muhammad Ali? Okay, younger ones, listen.
He's a famous boxer.
Okay. Pallavi and Sirin Kumpela, you listen to what Carolyn Ming said. Carolyn, say it again.
He's a very famous boxer.
Okay, I like to add to this. Okay, I like to add something to what Carolyn said. I would say that instead of famous boxer, I would say he's a legendary boxer. Right? Legendary. Famous, there are many famous boxers. He's a legendary boxer. Okay. So legendary boxer, which means that he went through so much of training. What kind of training he went through? Training of receiving punches. Right? Training of receiving punches. Which means that who gave him the punches? Punches given by his competitors. Punches given by his coach, the coach, and his competitors. Right? And imagine that his mother is the coach. His mother is the coach. Do you think that he'll become a legendary boxer? He will never become a legendary boxer. Because the mother will never give you hard punch. The mother doesn't give the hard punch, right? Mother will just punch you like this. My son, like this. With this punch, you will never learn how to stop the hard punches. You will never learn. So you will never become the legendary boxer. If you fail to become the legendary boxer, the one person responsible is your mother, right? Whereas if you become the legendary boxer, the credit should go to the person who gave you hard punches. You're getting it? So those people who give you hard punches, they are actually incredibly great factor for you to grow exponentially, right? And to become Buddha is more difficult, or to become a legendary boxer is more difficult. Okay, wow. Okay, so to become a Buddha is more difficult, or to become a legendary boxer is more difficult. To become Buddha is far more difficult. So therefore, you are in the first place, you are bound to receive many punches on the way, right? Gade, many punches on the gade part. So the point is that without these punches, you will never become a Buddha. And who are these people who give you the punches in the conventional world? Your enemies. Your enemies are the only people who can give you Buddhahood. Your mother cannot give you Buddhahood. Even your teachers will not give you Buddhahood, right? Teachers will be, but Jismillah is exception. His teacher gave him so much punches. Jismillah. Otherwise, other teachers, like his Holiness Dalai Lama, they will never punch you. You're getting it? Okay, so the point is that what I'm saying is that your enemies, they have been so beneficial to you in their own ways, which even your mothers cannot give you these benefits. Okay, so this is known as the dependent origination. How by dependence on other factors, you reap so much of benefit. The moment you feel that, then your mind will flow closer towards those benefits, the sources of the benefits. So this process or this phenomena of your mind becoming closer towards, flowing closer towards the source of benefit is known as your mind feeling affectionate, your mind feeling loving towards the beings. And who are these? All the beings, near and dear ones, neutral people, and the difficult people. Okay, so this is how we apply the concept of dependent origination to enrich, to expand the circle of your love and affection towards all beings. Okay. Oh. Okay. 26. If emptiness by virtue of dependent arising were denigrated, if you disregard or if you just denigrate the concept of dependent origination, this would contradict all worldly conventions of what is kind, what is good, what is bad. All these things you have to contradict. You will contradict if you reject the concept of dependent origination. You cannot account for all these functionalities in the world. 37. If emptiness itself is rejected, no action will be tenable. If you emptiness of independent existence, emptiness of independent existence is rejected. Rejected, emptiness, double negation, it becomes independent existence. If things were independent existence, 37, if emptiness itself is rejected, emptiness of independent existence, if that is rejected, you hold on to the independent concept of independence. With the independent concept, no action will be tenable. There would be action that did not begin. If you say that, yes, there is action. Yes, there is action. Action of, say, the action of the trials of the COVID vaccines. Action of the trials. If you say that, no action will be tenable, there will be action that did not begin. So let's say that action means there should be beginning, middle, and end. For every action, there should be beginning, middle, and end. Let's say that I'm lifting my hand. When I say I'm lifting my hand, first there was a beginning where my hand was on the table. Then in the middle, it is in the air. And then finally, wherever I should go, and then stop there. This is the meaning of lifting the hand. Action of lifting the hand. Then the action of, let's say, inventing the COVID vaccine. Say, 2019, COVID vaccine was totally non-existent. Totally non-existent. There was a beginning. And then the COVID started, and people started to look for the vaccine. They started to invent the vaccine. So the process started, beginning and middle. Now coming to the end, where we are on the verge to get the vaccine. So there's, for every action, there's a beginning, middle, and end. Okay. So with this, if things are independent existent, then you should accept an action which did not begin. For the reason that the beginning means that it is closer to the cause, and then it begins, and then the causes say the first moment of the effect of the action, second moment of the action. The first moment is closer to non-action, and second moment is further away from the non-action. First moment is closer to the non-action. So this beginning connotes beginning, middle. This connotes dependence on the causes. So without the causes, then there should be no beginning of the action. And if you say that action is there, the action should be without beginning, which is totally illogical. And there would be an agent without action. So let's say that, you are the benefactor and I'm the beneficiary. So there's an act of benefiting. You are benefiting me, let's say that I'm the beneficiary, you are the benefactor, and there's an act of benefiting. So these three things are circular. These three things are mutually dependent. Benefactor, beneficiary, and act of benefiting. So without the benefactor, act of benefiting will not happen. Without act of benefiting, beneficiary makes no sense. One. Again, without the beneficiary, again, the act of benefiting will not happen. Without the act of benefiting, the benefactor doesn't have anything to benefit. So he's not a benefactor. So again, without the act of benefiting, the benefactor makes no sense, because there should be a link between the benefactor and the beneficiary. The link is made by the act of benefiting. So when the act is not there, benefactor, beneficiary, there should be no link. If there's no link between the two, then the one is not benefactor, one is not beneficiary. So these are all mutually connected, mutually dependent. They're all interdependent, these three things. 37, the third line, there would be action that did not begin, and there would be an agent without action. So if these things are independent of each other, if these are not dependent on each other, then action and the agent, they should be independent. If independent, then without action, the agent should be there, but it's totally nonsensical, illogical. 38. If there were self-nature or independent nature, migrators meaning sentient beings, migrators would not arise, no seeds and hence. So for example, migrators say, okay, say a young child is born today. A child is born today. One child is born today. So that child, as a migrator, as a sentient being, is born today. It arises, it arose today, and then say the child will live for the next 80 years or say 90 years, and then will die after 90 years. Will cease. So arising and ceasing of the migrators happen if there is some say dependency, where if things exist by self-nature or independently, then the migrators would not arise, no cease. Arising and ceasing of the sentient beings will not make sense, because for the arising of the child, dependency on the parent should be there. For the death of the child, exhaustion of the bodily constituencies, exhaustion of the karma should be there. But without these two factors, without these factors, then the child, that person will not die. Okay. The 38th, third line. And hence would assume a static state. Static state meaning a state where there is no movement. A state there is no movement. Because for movement, there should be arising and ceasing. For arising and ceasing, dependence should be there. There would be absence of all varieties. Okay, if you go to the world, if you just go out, you see innumerable varieties of things. Human beings, there are so many varieties there. The girls, so many varieties. Boys, so many varieties. House, so many varieties. Food, there are so many varieties. And even the milk, there are so many varieties. Cheese, so many varieties. Leaves, so many varieties. Innumerable varieties are there. So these varieties connote what? These varieties, why they are different things? Because there are different causes. There are different causes. Because of the different causes, different factors, then the results come into being, varieties are created. So these varieties indicate the dependency on the multiple causal conditions. So innumerable, infinite, say that the network of cause and effect is operating, infinite network of the dependent origination is operating, cause effect relations is operating. Okay. 39. If it were not empty, if the world were not empty meaning if they were independently real, then the unachieved would not be achieved. As we said earlier, say if things were independently real, then, okay, let's say, I am yet to achieve, say, motherhood. Okay, we are all yet to achieve motherhood. Okay, by the way, I'm not sure. I cannot really generalize. Somebody already achieved motherhood. Anybody? Okay. If somebody achieved motherhood, still you come here, which means you came here to test me. Right? Okay, so what I'm saying is that let's say that we are here to achieve enlightenment. If we have not achieved enlightenment, and if that we exist as independently real, that our non-achievement of the enlightenment is independently real, then it should not be affected by any other factors. No factor can affect it. It will always remain like this, unachieved, unachieved, unachieved. So we will never, so unachieved, where there is unachieved state of the enlightenment or unachieved the enlightenment is there within you, then achievement is not there. So these two are contradictory, mutually exclusive. So if this unachieved state goes with me eternally, then I will eternally be non-enlightened. I will never be enlightened. 39. If the world were not empty, then the unachieved would not be achieved, will never be achieved. Act of ending suffering and abandoning affliction would not exist. That's true. 14. Whoever sees dependent arising, whereas on the contrary, if you see things in the network of dependent origination, dependent arising, then you can posit suffering. Suffering is possible because where the evil thoughts are there, suffering is there. So therefore the Buddha said, commit no evils. Then the origination is possible. Because of dependent origination, if the suffering is there, suffering should be originated because of the evils, because of the first. Okay, so this in detail we'll study in the chapter 18, most likely tomorrow. Okay, then the abandoning afflictions, whoever stanza 40, whoever sees dependent arising also sees suffering is origination, and then knowing that this suffering comes by dependence on the causes or the origin, you cut the origin and suffering stops. That is a cessation of suffering. So cessation is possible. If the cessation is there, which means that there's a path which can bring the cessation. Without a path, cessation will not come independently or will not come randomly. So cessation comes through exterminating this origin. And what helps us exterminate the origin of the suffering? That is the path leading to cessation. So the path is also possible. So where you account for where you are able to account for the dependent origination, then the Four Noble Truths can easily be accounted for. You can account for the Four Noble Truths. You can account for all the functionalities of the world. This is so beautiful. Okay, now we will start chapter 18. We'll start with chapter 18. Okay, now chapter 18 should be a little easier now.
Okay.
115. Okay, who's that? Huh? Please, okay, yes, Payal Acharya. Huh? Yes. Okay, the Payal or Payal? What's your name? Payal. Okay, Payal, I did not hear your questions too well because your sound is breaking. Say it again. If everything is dependent originated, what's the role of faith? Is your question? Huh?
Role of religion.
The role of reality. What do you mean by reality?
Something.
Okay, the Payal, would you mind speaking a little slow? Number one, you're speaking fast, and your sound is breaking. You speak a little slow, so that we can get it, even though your sound breaks.
Just put it on a.
Yes. You can write on the chat, and then our coordinator will read it for me. Okay, thank you, Payal, and then I'll give the answer. Okay, Kim Lee, you have a question?
Sheila, it's not a question. It's just like a reminder that you asked us to remind you about the meditation on emptiness.
Okay, that's for tomorrow.
Eh? Not
Yes.
today.
Not today.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, tomorrow you remind me. Okay. Okay. If there is pressing question, please ask me. If not, then we will go to chapter 18. Anybody? Okay, then we go to chapter 18. Let's have a candidate. Okay, chapter 18. We are sharing the text. Okay, chapter 18, examination of self and phenomena. Examination of self and phenomena. Even the title is so important. Let's say that, same. If I were to ask you, I'm not going to ask you this question because we don't have time. If I were to ask you, just share with me, share with us any one problem in your life, such a really big problem in your life. Then we see that some of you may say that COVID, it really scares me. It gives me a feeling of uncertainty, or say the financial, the liquidation, or say the I'm not getting promotion, the sickness, any this the childhood abuse, and so forth. You have all these problems you have, and these problems, all these problems, believe it or not, or you just tell me that in all these problems, there is one factor which is commonly existing in all your problems, That is, I was abused. I am sick. I am scared. I did not get the promotion, right? The person is being unfair towards me. There's always this I, this is involved. So this I is a self. Examination of the self. You're getting it? Self. This is always there involved. Self. Now this self related to the phenomena other than the self. COVID. My neighbor, not good. And then he's being unkind. She's being unkind. All these, and then I don't get promotion because this person, my boss, is very unfair. Okay, so we see that all these things, the self and the phenomena other than the self. This is a play of the two things. Self and the phenomena other than the self come together, then the sound of the misery is erupt. So self and the phenomena other than the self, phenomena other than the self is the phenomena. So these two things, we view the self as so independently real, objectively real, not like a dream. And the phenomena other than self is also so objectively real, independently real. So when these two things, you solidify the self, you solidify the phenomena other than the self, and then these two come together, two misconceptions come together, your miseries, they will just explode in the form of miseries. So if you analyze the two things so well, the self, well, you see the self is like a dream. You analyze the phenomena is also like a dream. So the duality, the sense of very strong, solidified duality which you have created, dissolves. And all your problems dissolve, sound of miseries dissolve. So this is where the title gives us such a feeling of the hope that my problems can be brought to an end. I can teach others how to solve the problems. Examination of self and phenomena. Okay, so now it begins with a little the technicality, and if you get it, then the first stanza and the second stanza, if you get these two things, then the rest will be relatively easy. Okay, for that we have to pay a little bit of attention. Okay, let's say this is object the phenomena, and this, let's say this is the self, the person. The person interacts with the phenomena, misconceiving the object, misconceiving the self, and then two misconceptions come into play and then erupt into miseries. So now let's say that we first examine the self. Let's say the self. Let's examine the self. Okay, first the question from Payal is ready now. Or didn't you? Okay, they so okay, the question is here, which reads, my question is, how much does a current reality, how much does the current reality, how much is the current reality reliable enough to explain dependent origination? If the cause, that is a reality, at that moment is real enough to generate another thing. Okay. So I think this needs still more questions. They say the to and fro, more questions. It doesn't matter. So the point is that yes, the whole universe is operating on the basis of the cause and effect dependent origination. Cause and effect. Cause and effect. This is one reality known as the conventional reality. Conventional reality. And the other one is the ultimate reality. So on the conventional reality, cause and effect is operating, and the cause and effect is governing the whole universe. And because the whole universe operates on the basis of cause and effect, if you alter the cause, you can alter the effect. So where if it's undesirable, if it's an undesirable effect, if the effect is undesirable, you don't like it, then change the cause. Change the cause. For example, one example that I give is, for example, okay, now today the democracy. Ideally speaking, democracy is incredibly wonderful example of dependent origination. Let's say that you let's say elect somebody as the president or the prime minister. If the majority of the people they see that, oh, we are wrong, now look what he's doing to a nation, to the whole world. When you see that this is not right, right? Why is this happening? Because you elected this person, right? Okay, so next time we should not elect him. So we electing him is the cause which resulted in all these chaotic things happening in the world, in the nation, right? Now, the next time, I don't want this. I don't want this. So that is dependent on the cause of the election. Election is the cause. So I should not elect him. I should not cast my vote to him. So this is incredible good example for the democracy, a real democracy. And then what is the real democracy? Where can I find real democracy? This is questionable, right? At least democracy is the best as of now. Is the best of as compared to the other systems. Although it has many drawbacks, still it is the best. Okay. So this is how the world is operating now. You can change the reality also. They change the reality of today, and reality has many layers. Reality of our suffering, we can change it. Reality of COVID, we can change it by generating the vaccine, COVID vaccine. We can change the reality of the say your country by changing the president or the prime minister, right? And that is in your hand. Okay, so this is the thing, and we can change. Okay, Mark.
Are Buddhas subject to cause and effect? Is cause and effect merely dependent on ignorance?
Okay, so there are many layers of dependency, many layers, and the cause and effect per se, we say that, for example, I say one set of the cause and effect, miseries as the effect driven by the causes, contaminant karmas, afflictions, so forth. So that is rooted to ignorance. Ignorance as the cause, giving rise to the chain of further causes, giving rise to the miseries. So that cause and effect is rooted to the ignorance. That's very true. Okay. Yes, Mark? Okay. It seems like the Mark, your net is not too strong. It's fine. Okay, now we continue. We continue with chapter 18. So now what we are exploring the self. How does the self exist? Does the self exist like a dream, or does it exist as objectively independently real? This question. So now, what does it mean by independent real? What is my dream, right? So I'll say the dream flower. This flower in my right hand, and the dream flower. Let's say in the dream you dreamt of flower. The dream flower that you dreamt last night, and this flower. What's the difference? In simple terms, this flower exists objectively, and the dream flower exists subjectively. Do you agree with me or not? In simple terms. Okay, if you agree with me, now let's explore to say that, to see how the mind, how the self exists, how the self exists. But the self exists as objectively like the real flower, or it exists like the dream flower coming from the subject. This is what we're going to explore. You're getting it? Okay. Now, how do we explore? How do we explore? Okay. So for that, we need to know what is known as the exploration. Exploration is done by an analytical mind, a mind which analyzes, a mind which analyzes, analytical mind. So this mind, the analytical mind, a mind which analyzes whether self exists as objectively real or like a dream, that it exists subjectively. So that mind that we're going to employ, so this mind is of two kinds. This analytical mind, the mind which analyzes, is of two kinds. One is known as conventional analysis, and the other one is known as ultimate analysis. The mind of conventional analysis and the mind of ultimate analysis. This is very important. We have to know this concept. The mind of conventional analysis and the mind of the ultimate analysis. Okay. What does it mean by mind of ultimate analysis and mind of the conventional analysis? This next question. What does it mean by that? Okay, let's say that say we're a bunch of let's say we're a bunch of the very innocent the farmers. We are very more like we're back to 2,000 years ago. We are very innocent farmers, and then somebody comes and asks you, okay, the food that you gave me, this lunch, the lunch that you gave me, what is that made of? When you say that it's made of barley, it's made of barley, or let's say it's made of rice. And then I came from 21st century. You came from which century? 2,000 years ago. Anybody? Christoph, what is that? 2,000 years ago. What is the century? What century is that? Prisla, unmute.
First century.
Okay, okay, first century. Okay, let's say you are all in first century AD, and I'm from 21st century AD, right? And then you offered me rice, and what is this? This rice. Okay, where did it come from? We planted this. You are farmers. We planted this. We grow this in a field. Okay. Then I said that, okay, show me where, show me this, where, what is that like? And then you show some rice grains. Then I assumed, what is this? Where's the rice? Look, this is the rice. Which one? The first atom or the second atom or third atom? Which atom is the rice? I ask you, then you get lost, right? And if you're very smart, I can tell you that this, what you call as the rice, is made of two parts. You can break this into two. Yes. The first one you can break further into two. You break into two. Eventually it becomes like atoms. That's true. So now what you are giving me is just a bunch of atoms. Which atom is rice? What is your answer? Payal, what is your answer? Payal, what is your answer? Oh, every atom is rice. Wow. Every atom is rice. Okay. Every atom is rice. The atom can be carbon, right? So they're organic. Organic, mostly carbon, hydrogen, oxygen. Carbon is which one is rice? Which atom is rice? Carbon atom or the hydrogen atom or the oxygen atom? Okay, let's say that so pile, you are made of billions of atoms. Which atom is pile? No, which atom is pile? Very good. No single, what you are saying is aggregate. Aggregate. No single atom is pile. No single atom is rice. You're getting it? But when I ask you, what is that food that you gave me? You say this rice. Where did you get it? We grow this in a field. Okay. Are these all these questions which I'm asking you so far, are they sensible to you? Thus far is sensible. Then show me what that is like. Then you show me the grains. And then I prove you that this is made of billions of atoms. Which atom is the rice? What is the answer? Then you have no answer. You're getting it? At that point, this question does not make any sense to you. So this is not a conventional question to you. This question is not this is not a conventional question to you. It's not a conventional question to you. Okay. But we can ask this question. That's true. It is made of millions of atoms. Which atom is the rice? You have no answer. So this analysis, we can keep doing this analysis. You will reach a point where ordinary farmers, they cannot give any answer. So ordinary farmers, they can give answer to some extent. Okay, what is this? This is rice. The farmers, they confidently give the answer. Where do you get this from? We grow this in a field. Again, the farmers are very confident. Show me what that's like. Then they show me the rice grains. This is also very conventional. Fine. Which part of the atom is the rice? Then no answer. You're getting it? So till the point, the farmers can, the expert farmers, good farmers, professional farmers, can confidently give answers. All these questions are known as conventional analysis. And then the moment the analysis crosses the border where the farmers cannot give any answer with respect to the farming. So this question has entered into the non-conventional border. Non-conventional is known as ultimate. Conventional as opposed to ultimate. You're getting it? So in the ultimate, when your analysis goes beyond the conventionality, your analysis now shifts from the conventional analysis to the ultimate analysis. Till the answer is valid, your question is validly a question to the conventional people or to the conventional farmers. These questions remain the conventional analysis. The moment you cross the border where the farmers have no answer, it doesn't make any sense to them, that is when you enter from the conventional to the ultimate analysis. In other words, the rice, you can find the rice with the conventional analysis. You cannot find the rice with the ultimate analysis. This is the point. You're getting it? Okay. So with this, the point is now let's see that let's say that conventional, what is meant by convention, right? Okay, let me give you one example. Let's say that the text. If I show you a text, the text should begin from left to the right or right to the left. Anybody raise hands? Text, if I show you a shared screen, so the text you have to read from the left to the right or right to the left. Frizla?
Depends on the language.
Depends on language? Depends on language?
Yeah, some languages you read from left to right, others from right to left.
Okay, let's say the Mongolian language. Text, if or English language?
That you
English language. Frisla, English language?
Yeah, that you read from left to right.
Are you sure?
So far, yes.
Okay, so far. So far, are you sure?
Yes.
Okay. If I write the English sound, English phonetics in Hebrew, or not in Hebrew, in Arabic, or in the Mongolian, then it sounds English, but the script wise it is Mongolian. So we have to write from the left to the right to the left. It's English. They read English, right? Okay. So the point is that the script, from where does it begin? It should begin from the left to the right or left to the right to the left. English script should be from the left to the right. Why left to the right? Anybody? Why the English should be left to the right? Anybody? Lorena? Huh?
convention.
Lorena, yes?
No idea, Gisela.
Oh, you have no idea. Okay. Okay, anybody else? Okay, Subhashini ji, yes, expert. Yeah, she's an English teacher. Subhashini ji, tell me, why? Okay, you cannot unmute. Subhashini, we cannot hear you. Okay, anybody raise hands? Okay, Subhashini, yes, tell me.
It is a convention.
It's a convention. It's a convention. Very good. Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Subhashini ji. Thank you. Okay. Now, English script should start from the left to the right. It's a convention. Okay. Anybody? What do you mean by that? It is convention. Anybody? Elaine?
It means that a lot of people, all the people who read and write English, agree that it is from the left to the right.
Okay, so Elaine, you also agreed?
Yes, I also agree.
Where did you have the meeting?
No, Geshe-la, it's always.
Were you at the time of Shakespeare? When you were having the convention, the Shakespeare came or not?
No, Geshe-la. Okay,
you are not there.
It functions well.
Okay, anybody? Okay, Korila, tell me.
Geshe-la, it's also what we were taught. And it's what we were taught, like with English cursive writing, it always was left to right, and our teachers or the authorities.
Why did they teach you like this?
That's a very good question, Geshe-la. But I guess because they decided that this is the linguist.
Your teacher decided? Your teacher decided? No. So who decided? Okay, Pallavi?
According to me, Geshe-la, it was a collective consensus which was agreed upon and it was passed on over.
It's a collective.
Okay, collective. Okay, collective consensus. Okay.
It's also
okay, yes.
Socially acceptable. And also imputed.
Okay, yes. Dr. Subhashini is adding all the philosophy here. Thank you. Shandila?
There's nothing intrinsic in the language or the sound that makes it left-right. It's just that it's worldly regarded as a way to do it.
Okay, perfect. So the way Pallavi said, it's a collective consensus, agreement, or it may not be agreement. It is just by one person. For example, the Tibetan script, it was invented by one brilliant scholar who was the minister of King Sonsen Gampo, Tibetan king. 7th century AD. He was commissioned. He was assigned to invent Tibetan script on the basis of the Indian script, and he invented it just single-handedly without any consensus. But there could be other languages which were done through consensus. For example, like many of the rules, they are not decided by one person. All the experts, they come together, then say that, okay, how should we follow the traffic rules, and the traffic rules, and then the books, for the books, what kind of rules should be there. All these things are settled on the basis of the collective consensus. Yes, very good. Okay, so this is the meaning of convention. Convention meaning that from the object, as Shantila said, there's nothing there from the object says that you should begin the English from the left to the right. There's nothing there from the object. It's just the convention. And convention is coming from the thoughts of the people. You agree with me or not? Convention is coming from the thoughts of the people. So with this in mind, what you do is that object and the thoughts of the people, convention. So convention as opposed to the object. From the object. From the object, we call it convention as opposed to ultimate. So what comes from the mind, we call it conventional truth. Or let's say, what comes from the mind, you say that is conventionally existent. What comes from the object, you say ultimately existent. We are not talking about the two truths as of now. Conventionally existent and conventional truth, these two are different. So what comes from the mind, we call it conventional existence. What comes from the object, we call it ultimate existence. You're getting it? So a mind analyzing. Now look, ultimate analysis, conventional analysis. So when the ordinary people, the farmers, they think about, they're able to give some answers. So this all happening on the level of their conventions. Beyond the convention, as you go closer to the object, then they cannot give the answer. So the mind which is discussing on the topics related to what is coming from the subject, the mind, so that mind is known as conventional analysis. The mind which is analyzing what is on the object, what is from the object, that mind is known as ultimate analysis. You're getting it? So the mind, conventional analysis and the ultimate analysis. Mind analyzing what is happening here on the subject, from the subject. This is known as conventional analysis. Mind which analyzes what is happening from this object is known as ultimate analysis. Okay, so now we see that the farm, the process, anything which is related to the farming, anything related to the farming, they're related to the conventions, because the farmers are the best people, experts, to explain about the farming. And they can give some answers, beyond which, what they cannot give the answers, they don't fall under their convention and under their domain. For example, we speak about how the brain works. The neuroscientist expert. We speak about how the brain works. The neuroscientist expert. And then you say which part of the electron is being activated. Then that is not the area of the neuroscientist. That's the area of the physics, elementary physics. Right? So the domain is very different. So likewise, the farmers, they are involved with the conventional domain. They only analyze the conventional domain, not the ultimate domain. Now, but when you look at the self, how does we see the self? Do we see the self coming from the mind or coming from the object? How do we see? Okay, and think of the person sitting. The think of the person. You just pick up somebody on the screen, and look at this person. Don't look at me. Look at somebody else. Just pick up somebody, and think of that person, and see how this person appears to you. That person is created by your mind, or that person is coming from the object. How does the person appear to you? Okay, tell me, how many of you, the person that you're looking at appear to exist from the object, not from the subject? Raise hands. Okay, good. This is known as, you see the person as objectively real, not as subjectively real. You're getting it? Okay, now if the person does exist from the object, then ultimate analysis, our mind which analyzes the ultimate of the objective, that mind should be able to find it. You're getting it? That mind should be able to find it. So you have to, for this analysis, to see if the self exists objectively, you have to employ which mind? Conventional analysis or ultimate analysis? Just raise your hand. To see if the mind truly exists from the object, which analysis should we do? Ultimate analysis or conventional analysis? Nivedita ji.
Ultimate analysis. Ultimate analysis.
Very good. Very good. Thank you, Nivedita ji. So we have to employ the ultimate analysis. Okay, now let's see. Okay, now this is very important. We'll do stanza 1 and 2, and then if you can do the first 2 stanzas, then others will be easier for us. Okay, I'll be a little ambitious to do the first 2 stanzas. It'll take a little time, and it'll like 6 minutes. Okay. Now let's say that this is subject and this is object. Now, if the person, we're examining the self and the phenomena. First, let us examine the self. If the self would exist, it does exist. But if this self would exist from the object, not from the subject, not from the convention, from the object, or as ultimately, or as objectively, then by subjecting the ultimate analysis, we should be able to find it. How to employ the ultimate analysis? This is the next question. How to employ the ultimate analysis? This question. So the ultimate analysis is the analysis which should go beyond the border of the conventionality. Which go beyond the border of the conventionality. So let's say, what is inside this? Lorena, what's inside this?
Water.
Water. Okay, this is water. Very good. Say, but it was say like in the 1st century AD, 20,000 years ago, to the ordinary people, if I say that this water is made of the gas, hydrogen and oxygen, they will not really understand it, right? The general audience will not understand it. But this is the reality that is made of, hydrogen and oxygen. Okay, likewise, this self, okay, where are you? I'm here. This is conventional analysis, ultimate analysis. Venerable Tenzin Kumela.
Conventional analysis.
This is conventional analysis. Where are you? I'm here. In the schools, universities, colleges, right? Where is Pallavi? Yes, sir. Right? Where is Kimli? Yes, sir. And sometimes some naughty boys and girls, they go for proxy. Right? Okay, proxy. Who understands? Raise your hands. Proxy. Okay. Proxy means, you let somebody else say, right? Okay. Say the Kim Lui, right? The teacher says Kim Lui, and Dorji says, yes, ma'am, right? And the teachers think that this is Kim Lui, and then you got the attendance. Okay, so what I'm saying is that, this is, when you say that, yes, sir, this is conventional analysis. Now, what is ultimate analysis? Okay, this is you, your hand is you. Then it makes no sense. You're getting it? Then where are you? Your body is you. No. Your mind is you. No. You go to this analysis, you can ask these questions. But the moment you ask these questions, then the conventionality breaks. Conventionality is dismantled. Conventionality is dismantled. You're getting it? So you're going from the convention, you're going closer to its object. That is known as ultimate analysis. Any analysis which crosses the border of the conventionality, that is known as ultimate analysis. With the ultimate analysis, if the self does exist objectively, with the ultimate analysis, you should be able to find it. You're getting it? Okay. Now let me say that what you have Okay, what you have is you have the 5 aggregates. You have the 5 aggregates. And for this analysis, okay, let's say we have the 5 aggregates. Anybody who can tell us what the 5 aggregates are? Very quick. Just raise your hands. What the 5 aggregates are. Okay, Pallavi?
It's a sense of touch, sense of hearing, sense of smell.
Yes.
Sense of vision, and
yes.
Sense of eyes, smell, touch, vision, hearing, and touch.
Okay, the 5 senses.
Taste.
Taste. Okay, good. Good.
The mind.
Okay, anybody else?
The 6th aggregate is the mind.
Okay, then there's a 6. It's not just 5 aggregates. There's 6 aggregates. Okay, okay, Mark.
Form, feeling, discriminating awareness.
Feeling, discrimination.
Compositional factors.
Composite factors.
And consciousness.
And consciousness. Okay, thank you. Okay, there are so many 5s, unfortunately, right? So with 5 aggregates, just 5 senses. Okay, so they are form. What Pallavi said, they are the 5 senses. So the 5 aggregates are different. Form, feeling, discrimination, composition factors, and consciousness. These are the 5 aggregates. Okay, so what we have is we have only the 5 aggregates. We have the body and we have the mind. The body is the aggregate of form. And the mind, we can split that further into 4 divisions to say that the 4 aggregates. So within the mind, one which is so important is feeling. So aggregate of feeling. Another part which is so important is discrimination, meaning ability to see what is right, what is wrong, what is yellow, what is red, what is house, what is, what is good, what is bad. The ability to distinguish things. That is a discrimination. That is so important. That determines the quality of your life. That determines the quality of your life, the discrimination. Discrimination should not be thought of in the negative context, in the negative connotation. Say, okay, gender discrimination, racial discrimination, this is a negative connotation. Discrimination is like distinguishing, ability to distinguish things. Then all the rest of the functions of mind, other than the feeling and the discrimination, they fall under the category of what is that? Composition factors. Composition factors, number 4. And the mind in general is known as consciousness. Aggregate of consciousness. So these are the 5 areas that we have. Okay, now, the self, it does exist where I'm here. This is conventional analysis. Now, after seeing you, still you ask your hand is a self, then your mind is a self, your body is a self. You analyze this, then you enter from the conventional analysis to the ultimate analysis. Now, the moment you go into ultimate analysis, if at all you find something, you find the 5 aggregates. I'm not saying that you will find 5 aggregates. What I'm saying is, if at all you find something, then the 5 aggregates are there. You see your body, aggregate of form, aggregate of feeling, aggregate of discrimination, aggregate of composite factors, aggregate of consciousness. These 5. And which of the 5 is the self? This question. You're getting it? Okay, let's say. So these are the 5 aggregates on the ultimate level. And then on the conventional level, is your mind imputing it, the self. And if you say that the self is just imputation, which means the self remains here, not here. And if you say it's not imputation, it's more the imputation, it's more than what your mind thinks, then it should be on the subject. On the subject, you find the 5 aggregates. You're getting it? Okay. So now, which of the 5 areas, if the self is not imputed by the mind has no role. Mind has no role to speak about the self. Now what is left? Only the 5 aggregates are left. If the self is there, it should be there, here, the 5 aggregates. And which of the 5 aggregates is self? If you say the aggregates, they are the self. These are the aggregates, themselves are the self, there's a problem. No, aggregates are not self. the body, mind, feeling, discrimination. These are not self. If these are aggregates are not self, remove the aggregates. What is left there? Nothing is left there. You're getting it? So when you go to the ultimate analysis, then you end up seeing the 5 aggregates. So where's the self? Only 2 options. Either you have to say that this aggregate is what is left. The mind is no role, because you said that it's not coming from the mind. Remove the mind. Remove the mind as what imputes. Remove that. Now what is left is the object. On the object, what is found? The 5 aggregates are found. So either the 5 aggregates should be the self, or if the self is different from the 5, if the 5 aggregates are not the self, remove the 5 aggregates, they should be the self left behind as different from the aggregates. Nothing is left there. You're getting it? These are the only 2 options. So which of the 2 holds true? This is our analysis. You're getting it? Okay. So what we do is that we'll stop here. We'll stop here. We're still yet to start the examination self and phenomena. But don't forget what I have started with. Start with now, here. Same. The self, there are 2 options. Either it should be from the subject or from the object. From the subject means it's just coming from your mind. That is conventional. If it's not coming from the mind, remove this subject. Now it's only the object is left. From the object, what is there? It's just the 5 aggregates. So now there are 2 options. What are they? Either the 5 aggregates should be the self, or different from, remove the 5 aggregates, they should be a self different from the 5 aggregates. Which of the 2 is the true? Self is one with aggregates or different from the aggregates. This is analysis. So the first answer is that if you say that the aggregates are the self is one with the aggregates, this is the problem. No, self is different from the aggregates, then the stanza 2 will indicate the problem. So this is what we're going to study tomorrow. Okay, we'll stop here. 1 or 2 questions if you have, I'll be very happy. Okay, Mark, would you like to repeat the question? Mark, would you like to repeat the question?
I think just when you just started to answer my question, my internet went out. But I think everything you've been saying recently is also related to this question. So I think as we go on, maybe the same issue will come up.
Exactly. Yes. Are you good? Anybody else?
I have a question, Geshe.
Okay, yes, Subhashniji.
In the Western philosophies, the self is something which the other perceives of you.
Yes.
So they give it a concrete, how do I put it? A concrete entity.
Yes.
So you are perceived as what you are by somebody else.
Yes.
So therefore, it is in Buddhist philosophy, it's a very different way of perceiving it.
Yes.
So how would you reconcile the 2, Geshe?
No, that you have to check. That you have to ask the Western philosophers. Is it the self which is as perceived by the others? When you say the self is the one as perceived by others, who is that other? You have to ask them. The Buddhists or the non-Buddhists? Right? The others in the form of Buddhists or others in the non-Buddhists, within non-Buddhists, whether Indians, non-Indians, right? So you have asked. These are all the contradictions. You're getting it? Okay, Shantila.
Thank you, Geshe. My question is, the other side of dependent origination of cause and effect is a lack of inherent existence, or is actually the other side, the other 2 levels of dependent origination? Because in chapter 24 talks a lot about dependent origination of cause and effect, and the flip side being emptiness of inherent existence. Whereas actually there are 2 more layers under that. So how?
Very good. Thank you so much, Shantila. Dependent origination, it has 3 layers, 3 levels of dependent origination. The first one is dependent origination of the results dependence on the causes. Number 1, cause-effect relationship, cause-effect dependency, number 1. Number 2 is dependent origination of the wholes dependence on the parts. Wholes dependent on the parts. Number two, which means anything which is whole, like the house as a whole, it comes into being, but depends on its parts, like the walls, the ceiling, the floor, the windows, doors, the column, pillars, and so forth. So that is dependent origination of the wholes, dependence on the parts. Number three, dependent origination of dependence on mere mental designation, like the dream. The dream is just what it comes from your mind. Besides the mind, imputing it, there's nothing there as a dream. It's all purely coming from the mind. That's the third level of dependent origination. Dependent origination of dependence on mere mental imputation or mere mental designation. Three are there. Now, chapter 24. Chapter 24, and they say emptiness as opposed to, no, not emptiness, as opposed to emptiness, and the other side of the same coin is dependent origination. So these are two sides of the same coin. And emptiness is fine. Chapter 24 it deals with emptiness, but the dependent origination, when it talks about the other side of the emptiness, chapter 24 talks about the cause-effect dependent origination. So does it mean that the emptiness as emptiness and the counterpart, the other side, is the causal dependent origination? It is not. It is not. Causal dependent origination is one level of dependent origination, which governs, which operates, which say for example, we talk about the truth of suffering, the cause of suffering. Finally, why we are studying all these things is because I want happiness, I don't want suffering. This is the driving force. Happiness, suffering, they are all in the form of cause and effect. Cause and effect. So we learn how to change the causes to know the effects. So the cause and the efficacy of cause and effect must be known. And so we can say that yes, we can change the causes. We can change the results by changing the cause. It's possible because these two are the causally dependent. Because dependent origination has three levels. This is the first level, which governs the whole universe. So this one side of it, and then after knowing the causal dependent origination, then to know how to change this causes to change the effects. The suffering as the effects, how to change it by changing the causes, the non-virtues. How to change non-virtues? Change non-virtues to virtues. How to change it to the virtues? By changing from the root, ignorance, to the wisdom. What is that ignorance? That ignorance is not just the ignorance misconceiving the cause-effect relationship. It's the ignorance which misconceives the inherent existence. So the opposite of which is the mere mental designation. So cause-effect is what is visibly operating in the universe, and then this ignorance, which is a part of this cause and effect, object of this ignorance is the inherent existence. So inherent existence being the object of this ignorance, the wisdom that we have to introduce should be the emptiness of inherent existence. For that matter, we have to know the third level. To know the third level, it's not like, because it's so profound, we have to learn it in a stepwise way. So the first cause and effect, then the whole and parts, then the mental imputation. Yeah. Thank you so much, Shandila. Okay, any more questions? For Gorilla?
I had a question about the stanza which we read in the beginning today. Yeshila, very important stanza. It's come up in your teachings and His Holiness. Neither the aggregates nor different from the aggregates. The aggregates don't depend on him, nor is he dependent on them.
Yes.
Tathagata does not possess the aggregates. What is the Tathagata? I understand the first line and in the context also the three essentials, and the second line, the aggregates don't depend on him, nor he dependent on them. But we are mutually dependent. I mean, the aggregates and the self is posited on the aggregates. So what am I missing here?
Okay, very good. Okay, thank you. Which stanza is that? Which stanza?
It's on page 204 of the old Braze. We read it today.
Yes, yes, yes. Okay. Okay.
Which stanza, Geshe-la?
Okay, our program coordinator is sharing the screen. Okay. No.
Geshe-la, just the second and third lines is where I was.
Okay, okay. Yes, 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 yes. You should. Okay, so we have it there. The stanza reads, okay, neither the aggregates, no different from the aggregates. Aggregate don't depend on him, no is he dependent on them. The Tathagata doesn't possess the aggregates. Okay, so Gorilla's asking the second line, not the first line. First line is okay. The second line is very confusing because the aggregates don't depend on him, him meaning the person. So here the Tathagata, you can relate this to the self. The self and the five aggregates. It says that aggregates don't depend on the self, nor is he or the self dependent on the aggregates. So how do we understand? These two are dependent on each other. So how Nagarjuna said that these two are not dependent? Okay, this is good question. This is good question. Anybody who can help me, right? We see that I'm dependent on my body. I'm dependent on the aggregate of my body because to say that I'm male, I'm female is by dependence on the body. And to say that, okay, I'm intelligent, I'm not intelligent, I'm compassionate, I'm not compassionate, is all dependent on the mind, aggregate of consciousness. So I do depend on my aggregates, and my aggregates also depend on me. Because to say that this hand is my hand, this hand is Dorji's hand, Dorji should be there. If Dorji is not there, how can you say that this is Dorji's hand? Again, even the hand is dependent also on the Dorji. Dorji is dependent on his body and mind. So there's mutuality of dependence. So how can you say that the aggregate is not dependent and the self is not dependent on the aggregates? How come? So this question asks, okay, Markla, you would like to give the answer?
I think I can answer, but I can say that there's sometimes you see a different translation. I think in a different edition of the plays, it says the aggregates are not in him, nor is he in the aggregates. So that gives us slight.
What's the meaning of that?
I
the
think
aggregates are not in him.
So maybe that gives some sense of some feeling of a concrete Tathagata that then those aggregates are part of.
Okay, good. Laura Gibson.
Would it have anything to do with being? It's saying it's not self-sufficient, substantially existent, which would be along the same lines of the aggregates. The self doesn't own the aggregates.
Oh, self does own the aggregates, right? I own my hand. If somebody comes to sell if somebody comes to harvest my organ, okay, so please don't do it. It is mine. I own it. Right? I'll not allow somebody to harvest my organs.
Like someone.
Laura, don't tell others to harvest my organ because this is what I own. Geshe-la, you don't own your organs. Don't say that. Yes, I own the organs. Okay, anybody? Anybody who can help me? Shandila.
Yeah, here we are looking for the Tathagata of the self, which refers to the inherently existent self or coming from the object.
Okay, so it should be retranslated, right? Chandra, this is what he's saying. And neither the aggregates nor different from the aggregates. The aggregates don't depend on inherently existing Tathagata. Is how you should translate.
It's
Everybody.
maybe emptiness, Geshe.
Oh.
It is emptiness. Dependent origination one side and one side is emptiness.
No, that's fine. We have to explain the second line. Second line which reads, aggregates don't depend on him. No, is he dependent on them? This is what we are trying to explain. Okay, so in a way, what Chandra said is correct. But we have to see how it is correct. You're getting it? How it is correct? Let's say that, okay, how many we are dependent on food? Raise your hands. Okay, so when you say, I am dependent on the food, so the food and I both should be there. If the food is not at all there, then we cannot say that I'm dependent on the food. For example, let's say, okay, I'm dependent on my mother. A child is dependent on the mother. And if the mother is not at all there, we cannot speak of the child depending on the mother. You're getting it? So these two should be there. Dependent and dependee, both should be there to say that there is a dependency happening. You're getting it? Both should be there. Now, which we just stop at the point, where this line which Gorilla is asking comes into play. We just stopped at that point. Okay, now what we said was that the self, subjectively or objectively, this is what we analyzed. We began. When you say the self is just on the conventional means is subjectively there. If you say this much, that's fine. If you say that let's say the self exists objectively. Objectively means that you should employ the objective analysis or ultimate analysis. By employing the ultimate analysis, what happens? In reality, the self exists subjectively. So on the object, there's no self. From the object, there's no self. Self is coming from the subject. Now, if you look to see what is there on the object, the self disappears. You're getting it? This water, what we say is water. What is water? If you go on the ultimate level, if you go on the atomic level, the concept of water dissolves. Do you agree with me or not? Concept of water dissolves. Okay. Let's say boys and girls. Boys and girls make sense conventionally. But if you go on the atomic level, the boys and girls dissolve. There's no concept of boys and girls. Do you agree with me or not? On the atomic level, there's no boy, there's no girl. All are just atoms. And atoms, we cannot say this is a girl's atom, this is a boy's atom. There's no such distinction there. On the atomic level, the concept of boys and girls dissolve. On the atomic level, the concept of water dissolves. Water, the minimum for the water, what it requires is 2 hydrogen and 1 oxygen is required, minimum. And on the atomic level, it's just individual atoms. There is no combination. On the atomic level, there's no water. On the atomic level, there's no human body. You're getting it? So now what you do is that on the atomic level, objectively, the self dissolves. So if at all something is there, 5 aggregates are there. If at all. I'm not saying the 5 aggregates are there. If at all something is there, 5 aggregates. The moment you subject the self to ultimate analysis, the self disappears. So what is left is only the 5 aggregates. Now, to say dependent and dependee, these two both should be there. Now, in that experiment, with respect to the ultimate analysis, only the aggregates are there, self is not there. You're getting it? So when the one side is not there, then dependee concept dissolves. For dependent concept, the 2 things should be there. What is dependent, both should be there. With respect to the ultimate analysis, the self as dependent or depending doesn't make sense. So it's only one side. If it's only one side, then dependent makes no sense. So the self does not depend because the self is not there with respect to the ultimate analysis. In eyes of the ultimate analysis, this is dependent concept dissolves. and possession also dissolves. So this is what is to be done tomorrow actually. But thank you, Gorilla. Now we finish tomorrow's course. Okay, any more questions? Any more questions? If not, we will end with dedication prayer. Okay. Okay, I'll request Tinsel Hajunla.
Thank you, Kishla. Additional dedication prayers. In the by snow mountains, you are source of all happiness and good. All-powerful Chandrisik Tenzin Gyatso, please remain until samsara ends. Just as the brave Manjushri and Samantapatra too realize things as they are, also I dedicate all these merits in the best way that I may follow their perfect example. I dedicate all these roots of virtue with dedication praised as the best by all the Buddhas who appeared in the 3 times so that I may perform the noble Bodhisattva's deeds. Changchu Semcho Rinpoche Ma Ke Pana Ke Gyurche Ge Wanyam Pa Me Pa Yang Kone Kondu Pe Varsho. May the Supreme Bodhicitta that has not arisen arise and grow, and may that which has arisen not diminish but increase forevermore. As long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. Due to the merits of these virtuous actions, may I quickly attain the state of Guru Buddha and lead all beings without exception into that enlightened state. I dedicate the merit thus gathered towards the realization of the deeds and the prayers of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the 3 times and to the upholding of the Dharma of teaching and realization. May I, in all lives, through the force of this merit, never separate from the 4 wheels of the Mahayana vehicle and accomplish all the stages of the path, renunciation, bodhicitta, perfect view, and the 2 stages. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. May the poor find wealth, those weak with sorrow find joy, may the fallen find new hope, constant happiness and prosperity. May all who are sick and ill quickly be freed from their illness, and may every disease in the world never occur again. May the frightened cease to be afraid, and those who bound to be freed, may the powerless find power, and may people think of benefiting one another. By the merits I have accumulated, may every single being abandon all forms of wrongdoing and perpetually engage in virtue. May they never be parted from the mind of bodhicitta, and may they always engage in bodhisattva's conduct. May they be cared for by the Buddhas and relinquish the actions of devils. May no living creature ever suffer, commit wrong, or ever fall ill. May no one be afraid or belittled, or their minds ever be depressed. May all the pains of the living creatures ripen solely upon myself, and through the might of the Bodhisattva Sangha, may all beings experience happiness. Having dispelled all inner and outer obstacles and downfalls, such as poverty, despair, oppression, cruelty, epidemics, and natural disaster due to environmental degradation, may all beings forever enjoy the glory of peace and happiness. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind of full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. I go for refuge to the Triple Gem. I confess the negativities individually. I rejoice in the virtues of all the beings. I hold the precious Buddhahood in my heart. By the power of practicing and supplicating to you, may all be free from sickness and poverty, poverty, and conflicts, and may Dharma and the auspiciousness proliferate in all the places where we abide. The path of the union of emptiness and compassion is lucidly explained by the protector of both the Dharma and the beings of the land of snows. You are the lotus holder, Tenzin Gyatso. We supplicate you that your wishes are fulfilled spontaneously. May evil thoughts and deeds of the negative forces of humans and non-humans who harbor malice through perverted prayers against the teachings of the Buddhas be totally vanquished through the power of the truth of the 3 jewels. By the dependent realization of profound suchness of appearance and emptiness, great force of great compassion of the 3 jewels and the power of the truth, and the virtue of infallible law of karmas and their fruits, May this truthful prayer of ours be unhindered and quickly fulfilled. May the teaching of this beneficent one till the world's end be unshaken by the winds of evil thoughts. May it always be met by innumerable beings who find conviction in the teacher by understanding the teaching's true nature. May I never falter even for an instant to uphold the excellent way of the sage, which illuminates the principle of dependent origination through all my births, even giving away my body and life. May I spend day and night carefully reflecting by what means can I enhance this teaching achieved by the Supreme Savior through strenuous efforts over countless eons. In all my lives never separated from perfect truths, may I enjoy the magnificent Dharma by completing the qualities of the stages and the paths. May I quickly attain the state of Vajradhara. Throughout my future lifetimes, may I always be guided by Arya Manjushri and be able to uphold the Dharma in general and the teachings on dependent origination in particular, even at the cost of my life. We'll recite Heart Sutra mantra for 3 times. Dayatha Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasam Gate Bodhi Swatyatha Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasam Gate Bodhi Swatyatha Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasam Gate Bodhi Swaha. Thank you, Venerable Geshe. Thank you, Praveenji. Thank you, everyone. See you all tomorrow.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Geshe.
Thank you, Geshe. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Geshe.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Geshe.
Thank you, Geshe.